As female broadcasters returned to the screen across the country, the one question on everyone's mind was, what will the Taliban rule mean for the women of Afghanistan? Female Afghan journalists have been busy documenting the fall of a nation, but now some of them are focusing on destroying traces of their identity. Others are powering on without worrying about what the future could look like. WION's correspondent Mallick visited one such media house in Kabul and spoke to the female news correspondents there. We are now bringing you their story right from ground zero in Afghanistan.
It's really scared for all of Afghan journalists, especially Afghan women, that there is journalists, doctors, teachers, what work they are in Afghanistan. So it's really tough, and I'm also afraid. When I came to the office, I was not sure, am I secure or not? Whenever that the period of Taliban day by day become good and pass some days, so after this, we will get the session that how Taliban do it, Afghan people, Afghan women. So now I can't say nothing about that.
As they get ready to go on air, Afghan female journalists remain worried about their own fate and the future of their colleagues. Many don't want their lives in the last 20 years undone in just 3 days. These journalists are ready to defend their rights no matter what.
دا خو معلومه خبره ده چې طالبان هیڅ کله نه غواړي چې میرمنې د کور څخه راوځي، بیا هم بالخصوص په رسنۍ کې کار وکړي. خو یوازینی شی چې موږ ته روحیه راکړي، قوت راکړي، موږ په ځان باندې باور ده. موږ هیڅ کله دې ته اجازه نه ورکوو هغه لاسته راوړنې چې موږ په تېرو کلونو کې لاسته راوړي وي هغه په یوه دقیقه کې هم د 2 ورځو په حکومت باندې له لاسه ورکړو. نو زه په نارمل توګه باندې په عادي توګه راځم خپل وظیفې ته دوام ورکوم. که څه مشکلات تکلیفونه راته ډېر زیات دي، خو زه به تر اخره پورې د خپل حقوق څخه دفاع کوم.
A picture that was representative of the new changing Afghanistan was this Afghan female newscaster interviewing a Taliban spokesperson live on air. In the nearly 17-minute-long interview, Tolo News' presenter Beheshta Argand spoke to the Taliban spokesperson in a TV studio. And for more on this and the fate of women in Afghanistan, joining us live is Mariam Wardak, who joins us from Washington, D.C. Mariam is the founder of Her Afghanistan. Mariam, welcome to WION World is One. My first question for you, will the Taliban, while the Taliban is projecting a rather moderate image as of now, reports say that there are hardly any women on the streets. We just saw some visuals of Afghan newscasters who were women mostly talking about their concerns about their future. What, according to you, is the future of women and girls in Afghanistan?
I think the necessary precautions that the resilient Afghan women are taking are rightfully so there. They are afraid based on the historical facts of witnessing what the Taliban have attempted. There seems to be a change in narrative. This morning there was a video circulating of 4 Afghan women protesting against the Taliban in front of the presidential palace while the Taliban were standing around. There's also another video of the Taliban attending to the minority group Mahram, which is a religious practice that they do once a year in Dasht-e-Barti of Kabul. What I'm trying to explain of this, that there seems to be a change of narrative. Is this change of narrative only for a chance of legitimacy because of the pressure that the West has placed on the Taliban indirectly, or is this change? This is something we have to continue to see. Well, this is why continuing to monitor the Afghan Taliban on their action is extremely important. There are some statements out that in Herat, they've turned away girls from universities. In certain districts in Kabul, they have turned away young girls to attending schools. And in Kandahar, they have turned the young women away from attending bank jobs. In Kandahar, there have been a dispute that turning away the girls from attendance at banks was actually a decision by the bank owner, not a directive from the Taliban. But there are just so many inconsistencies, and we have to continue to monitor the situation very closely.
Right. Now, Mariam, you mentioned a certain change in narrative, and that brings me to my next question. Given your experience in Afghanistan, how do you see the political developments in the coming days with other countries such as Russia and China legitimizing the Taliban rule?
Well, we've all witnessed that China and Russia, along with Iran and Pakistan have had direct communication with the Afghan Taliban. Russia has hosted many of the possible peace conversations in their own country. Whether this accepts the Taliban's reign as it is a question that those countries can answer. But as for a female who has experience in Afghanistan, I do call out for all international countries to demand an end to any violence and to continue to monitor the situation very closely.
Right. Now, Mariam, my question for you, and I'd like you to react to this, in fact. We have a statement coming in from Hosna Jalil, the former Deputy Afghan Minister for Women's Affairs, who says that the Taliban will reintroduce the strict policies towards women and even be more brutal than they were in their pre-2001 rule. What do you have to say about that?
Hosna Jalil is a very talented and educated Afghan who currently is getting educated in Washington, D.C. Her opinion matches many of the educated young women's opinions around the world, including in Afghanistan. This is why we must continue to monitor what the Taliban are doing, because if they do act in double the effect and violence and cruelty towards women, it must be an end to their reign. We cannot see women return back to what they had witnessed. This will be an extreme insult to all the international allies who have had any active participation on the soil.
Right, Mariam, thank you so much for all your insights and thank you for joining us on WION. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.